Hi everyone. It's 9:30 p.m. on February the 3rd, 2024. 9:30 p.m. Central Time because I am broadcasting from Madison, Wisconsin. And I think I'll just wait for a few more moments for people to join. There are some things I want to discuss. This probably won't be a very long live stream, but I think I'll wait for more people to join. And okay, I see somebody else has joined. More people are joining. Wonderful. I usually start the live stream and give it a moment or two, maybe a minute or two for people to join. So as you are joining, please say hello and where you're from in the chat window. Let's see. My friends, I'm going to get started. As more people tune in, I'll stop and try to answer questions and see your comments, but I'm just going to get started. Rachel, hello. Hello, Rachel. Thank you for joining. And as you can tell by the title of this live stream, Migrants Making Millions. Hi, Rachel. Where are you from, Rachel? Please write the state that you're joining from if you wish to do so. It's up to you. I know that a lot of my viewers, when I ask them where they're joining from, they usually share the city or the state. Mississippi, wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for joining. I have not been to Mississippi. I've been to Texas. I've been to Tennessee. I have not been to Mississippi. It's on my list. I've been to Missouri. I know it's a beautiful state, so I wish to visit Mississippi, hopefully soon. So my friends, you can see that the title of this live stream is Migrants Making Millions. And it's actually a real thing. It's not just a title to draw people's attention. It's a real thing. I mean, I published a video earlier today. It was actually late afternoon when I published that video. And in that video, I talked about what's happening in New York City, how the city has launched a 53, I'm looking at my notes here from the video I made earlier because I want to get the facts right. A $53 million program. CAT007 is giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for joining. New York City has launched a $53 million program to hand out prepaid cards to undocumented immigrants. Okay? Prepaid cards with money to undocumented immigrants. And when I saw this in the news, my instant reaction was, what in the world is going on? And so I looked up the news articles, and it's unbelievable. And I feel like I keep saying that during every live stream. I keep saying it's shocking, it's unbelievable, it's shocking, it's unbelievable, because that's what's happening. Every single day, there's something new that happens, which I find shocking, which I find unbelievable. Things that never happened before. Those things are happening in the United States. New things every day. And so when I saw this, I was so shocked. And I didn't know what to say. So anyway, I made a video. And I have been reading the comments on that video, and I think a lot of people, from reading the comments, I can tell that they're having the same reaction that I did, like, what's going on? So this $53 million program, the undocumented immigrants, according to this program, they are going to be receiving prepaid cards which they can use to go and buy food and baby supplies. Now, that's where my question is. Once the migrants get the prepaid cards, how is the government going to ensure? First of all, this shouldn't be happening in the first place. The migrants should not be getting taxpayer dollars, okay? Because this $53 million, where is this huge sum of money coming from? It's coming from the pockets of American taxpayers. Every single penny that the migrants are receiving from a government agency, that's coming from the pockets of American taxpayers. And so this shouldn't be happening in the first place. Now, as it's happening, I'm trying to see the details of this program. And my question is, how is the city of New York going to ensure that the cards are not used to buy things that are neither food nor baby supplies? Okay, I mean, how is the city going to ensure that? And also, there's one. Oh, it's being reported that the migrants will have to sign an affidavit stating that they will only spend the money, they will only use the prepaid cards for food and baby supplies. I mean, how innocent sounding, right? They're going to sign an affidavit and then everything's going to be fine, right? Let's not forget, the migrants are here in the United States. They entered by violating our immigration laws. And so how can the New York City officials think that just because the migrants are going to sign an affidavit, that they are going to diligently use the money just to buy food and baby supplies? And how do you define food? What kind of food? I don't know. I mean, there are always more questions than answers, because these plans that the liberals come up with, the liberals don't present clear information to the public. There's a severe lack of transparency. When you look at the government of New York City, the government of Chicago, the government of San Francisco, there's such a severe lack of transparency and accountability that it's hard for the public to even get clear information. Like what's going to be written in that affidavit? And if somebody violates the affidavit, what happens then? I think I saw somewhere that if somebody violates the terms and conditions, that they will lose access to the prepaid cards. Well, how is the city of New York going to do this? Will there be auditors? Will there be somebody sitting in the bureaucracy and checking all the transactions, like the transaction history? And to do that also requires money. Let's be very clear about this. Whenever the government comes up with a new program like this one, $53 million, and they are going to give a family of four close to $1,000 per month, which is something like $35 per day. Okay. There's going to be an affidavit. Someone's going to draft an affidavit. Someone's going to have to administer the program. Will there be auditors? If there are, then that's more people. So everything, like just the oversight, requires personnel. It requires time. Which means it requires money. Someone's going to get paid to hand out these cards and to do oversight to make sure it's running smoothly. I mean, there are people who are going to be working on this, and those people are going to be paid, and those payments are likely going to come from the pockets of American taxpayers. So it's just hard for me to explain, but I think you understand that the city of New York is creating this massive program, and it says that it's gonna start as a pilot program that will start with 500 migrant families, and then reportedly it will be expanded to all migrant families staying at hotels. And what number is that? Because migrants are pouring into the United States, and they are going to places like Chicago and New York. So how many migrants, how many migrant families will this program be expanded to? Well, is there a cap? It is unbelievable. You know, I am a writer. I'm a public speaker. I usually am good at writing and explaining stuff. And it's just, as I keep reading all these new plans that the liberal politicians come up with, it's mind-boggling. It's just hard to express the shock and the disappointment and the frustration that I experience, and that many tax-paying American citizens experience when they see that their hard-earned dollars are being taken out of their paycheck, and the government spending money on stuff like this. $53 million program to hand out prepaid cards to undocumented immigrants. And you know, the biggest concern is, as the government keeps doing stuff like this is going to entice more foreign nationals to cross the southern border and to come into the United States and to go to New York expecting prepaid cards. And then there's no end. There's no end. But our resources are limited. No matter how wealthy a state is, no matter how wealthy a nation is, there's no infinite supply of money. Our resources are limited. And so how long can American taxpayers go on funding stuff like this? And American taxpayers are not willingly funding this. The liberal politicians in positions of power, they are taking money, taxpayer dollars, and they are making the decisions, and money is flowing out, and money is going towards the undocumented immigrants. And so let me pause for a second and let me take a look at the chat window. Rachel writes, Mississippi is a conservative state, but it's got its own problem. Yeah, you know, every state has challenges. I like to say that Wisconsin is conservative also, but I think it's more of a purple state. I've mentioned that before, because there are many conservatives, but there are some very populated liberal areas. Dane County being one, that's the county where I live. That's where the city of Madison, the state capital, is located. It's a very liberal area. And then Milwaukee also is pretty blue, pretty liberal. And then there are some other parts of the state. A lot of college towns tend to be more liberal. So here in Wisconsin, you know, sometimes statewide races are won by Republicans. Sometimes the Democrats win the statewide races, and that's why it's called a purple state. It's called a purple state because races can go either way. Sometimes a Democrat can win, sometimes a Republican. If you're looking at the statewide races, obviously it's different if you're looking at congressional districts and state senate and state assembly districts. But yeah, we also have our challenges, and so yeah. But Mississippi is definitely a conservative state, and it's a beautiful state. I know that. That's why it's on my list to visit. Let me look at some more comments. Cat007 writes, "Where are the migrants going to cook and store their groceries? Just curious." Brilliant question. Brilliant question. If you are, see that's the thing. Americans have a lot of questions, but not enough answers. Cat007, the question that you asked, where are the migrants going to cook and store their groceries? Just curious. Brilliant, brilliant question. Are they going to get free stoves, free refrigerators? I don't know. I don't know. I do know that the liberals are working very hard at to make sure that they fight fossil fuels. So in Chicago, I talked about it in a previous video. In Chicago, there is an ongoing effort to try to ensure that no new homes have natural gas for heating, because the liberal politicians in Chicago, they are trying to push people towards more electric stuff, electric vehicles and electric stoves, electric heating. Um, but then the liberals won't tell people that to produce electricity, you need fossil fuels. So natural gas is a very big part of the production of electricity. Okay, but these are facts, and liberal these far left politicians, they don't care about facts. They just um, go forward with their green energy agenda. And green sounds so great, but their policies are awful. Okay, and that's one thing that the liberals are very expert at. They come up with all these fancy names like green energy agenda, which is supposed to sound good, but when you read the details, it's awful, awful, awful. Okay, so yeah, I am going to go back to what I was saying. This is just shocking, what's happening in New York. And what I'm afraid of is, once something happens in one sanctuary city, some other sanctuary city will copy that idea. So remember that the restrictions on buses, migrant buses from Texas, I forget which city it was that first came up with the restrictions. I think it was Chicago. Yes, it was Chicago. Chicago imposed restrictions on migrant buses, and which is why the migrant buses started dropping people off in communities around Chicago, but outside of Chicago. And we saw New York kind of copy that concept. And then there were restrictions on migrant buses in New York. And as we saw, then the buses started dropping people off in New Jersey. So with this whole prepaid card idea that the New York liberals came up with, I'm not going to be surprised if a few days from now or a few weeks from now we hear something happening in Chicago, some kind of fancy prepaid card program for the undocumented immigrants in Chicago, because I am guessing Chicago will copy this concept. Maybe places in California may do the same thing. Oh well, California is a whole different story, because they have expanded Medi-Cal coverage for undocumented immigrants. So undocumented immigrants in California are now going to get taxpayer-funded health insurance coverage. So, I mean, that's a whole different thing. I've talked about it. So you see, one sanctuary city does something, and the other city then copies that awful idea. And so with this whole $53 million program to provide prepaid cards to undocumented immigrants so that they can buy food, supposedly food and baby supplies, how long do you think it's going to be before Chicago copies this idea? And when you look at all of this, and you look at the hardworking American citizens who are struggling in this economy, who's going to help them? Who's going to help them? The migrants are going to get $35 per day for groceries. But if an American citizen needs groceries, that $35, no one's going to come and give that American citizen $35. That $35 would have to be earned. And to actually have $35 in your pocket, you're going to have to earn more. Because whatever you earn, the government takes a big bite out of your paycheck in the form of taxes, and then a huge percentage is taking out in taxes. So to have $35 in your pocket, you're going to have to make more than $35, because you're going to have to pay taxes, and then the leftover will be that $35. But The undocumented immigrants are going to get free money, but hardworking Americans, they don't get free money. They have to work hard using skills, using talents, using physical labor. People have to go out and work for every single dollar that they need. And when they work hard and they take their money to the grocery store, they see the sticker price and they see that prices have gone up because of inflation. And that's what American citizens are facing, hardworking Americans, while the undocumented immigrants are getting free stuff paid for by American taxpayers. My friends, talk about what's fair, what's unfair. You see all these things that Eric Adams and his administration are doing. You see what Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, and his administration are doing. You look at what Gavin Newsom's doing in California. I mean, you look at all of this stuff, and the only conclusion we can draw is that the undocumented immigrants are first class, and the American citizens are now second class in the eyes of these liberal, these far left politicians. And so the Americans are being treated very unfairly. There's tremendous injustice happening in this country, and the American citizens are the victims. And it's being done by the liberal politicians in sanctuary cities and other liberal states. Let me pause for a second. Obviously, you can tell I'm getting very excited, and obviously my anger and frustration. And I'm going to read some comments here. Okay, some comments that people wrote on my channel after they watched this video that I posted about this $53 million program. I'm not going to read the names of those who wrote the comments. I'm just going to briefly read the comments. So one comment was, "This is a reckless and foolish decision. The invasion is bad enough." The invasion meaning this massive influx of migrants through the southern border. So this is a reckless and foolish decision. The invasion is bad enough. Why make it worse? Exactly. Why make it worse? And well, the liberals just make things worse every single day. And that's why I say that the crisis keeps getting worse every day. Another comment is pure insanity. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of insane. It's kind of insane when you think about what's going on. Billions and billions of dollars are being taken away from American taxpayers and being spent on the migrants. Housing, food, medical services, legal services, so on and so forth. So when you see all of this, obviously a person will react and say this is pure insanity. Another comment is same thing. This insanity will not last long, because at the pace our government is spending our money, the well is going to be dry in no time, and things will turn very ugly for everyone as soon as that happens. Yes, when government starts using taxpayer money to fund things that should not be funded, then the migrants, no matter how much money they get, they're not becoming rich, obviously. But what's happening is the American middle class is becoming poor. Okay? So if this continues over time, the general population of this country, poverty will increase. And that's going to be bad, because we are a prosperous nation. But since 2021, this open border and the border crisis and this influx of undocumented immigrants, all these problems have been making our country less prosperous. It's taking our country in the wrong direction. And that's why I keep saying Trump 2024. We need Donald Trump to turn this country towards the path of prosperity once again. As he says, make America great again. We need Donald Trump. Some more comments. Let's see. One person writes, Um, can't wait for Trump 2024. Absolutely. Another person writes Trump 2024. Help Americans. Absolutely. Americans need help because the liberal politicians, what they are doing, it's going to make Americans poor. You know, we're heading towards a path, we're heading towards poverty, and because of the liberal politicians. Um, and another person writes, "This is disgraceful." Obviously, it's shocking, it's disgraceful, it's unbelievable what's happening in places like New York City and Chicago. Anyway, I'm not gonna read any more comments, but thank you all for tuning in. Let's see if there are any comments in the chat window. I'm not seeing any new comments here. Um, yeah, all right. So I just want to thank you all for joining the live stream. I appreciate your time. I understand it's a Saturday, and so people usually have plans on weekends. So, you may be out with your friends or enjoying a nice dinner with family members or doing something else. So I truly, truly appreciate the fact that you are taking time out of your personal schedule and joining this live stream, joining this conversation, because we need to have these conversations. I believe in exercising my First Amendment right to free speech, and I'm fearless, I'm very vocal, I'm outspoken, as you can tell, I think, by now. And whenever I see irregularities in society, whenever I see something happening that's unjust, that's unfair, I want to talk about it. I want to be vocal about it. And I want to point out that this is wrong. This is unjust. This shouldn't be happening. And that's why I'm using my YouTube channel. I'm using this platform to share my thoughts, my comments, my views, my opinions with you all. And if you have been following my channel, you know that I also encourage you to share your thoughts with me. So I appreciate each and every one of you, those who tune in, those who participate during the live chat, and those who watch my videos and leave comments, those who share my videos, those who tell their friends and neighbors and family members about my channel. I appreciate that. Please help me spread my message. And I am very, very concerned about what's happening in New York and Chicago. I'm very, very concerned about the crisis at the southern border. And I'm not the only one. There are millions and millions of Americans, fellow Americans, who are very concerned about the crisis in our country. They are concerned about the public safety situation, widespread crime, homelessness, border crisis, migrant crisis, and the fact that our tax dollars are being spent on the migrants. There are so many reasons why Americans are concerned. And that's why November 2024 is so very important. It is our opportunity to elect the leader who can combat all these problems and who can take our country back on the right track. We need Donald Trump to help make America great again. My friends, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I don't see any more comments in the live chat window, and that's why I'm going to end this live stream. We are past 28 minutes, so I'll end this right around the 30-minute mark. So thank you so much once again. Please stay connected. I plan to do another live stream, hopefully tomorrow, unless something else comes up in my schedule. I always try to do a live stream, at least one per day, and at least five in a week. That's my goal, but obviously life can get busy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be back again with more live stream, more videos. Let's continue the conversation. There's a lot that we have to discuss, and together we have to save our country. We have to make America great again. Thank you so much, my friends. Have a good night.